Good afternoon, everyone. Our speaker today is Nirja Ganesh, a three-time Android thought leader recognized in Industry 360. She's a TEDx speaker, a sought-after leadership facilitator, coach, and a keynote speaker at groups including Lean In, IEEE, NESCOM, CII, and many more. Ma'am is known for her signature programs like Networking for Results and How to Tell Your Story. She is the creator of Trailblazers, a 6-month leadership program for women professionals. Her work has been featured on TV, podcast, and in works like Magical 40 and The Turning Point. Passionate about enabling careers, and has mentored over 200 individuals after transitioning into gender diversity space following a successful 25-year IT career. She has led impactful roles at Jobs for her foundation and the National Education Society of Karnataka. Today, she joins us to unpack why your personal branding matters and how being intentional about how you are perceived can unlock new opportunities and accelerate your professional growth. Please join me in welcoming Nirja ma'am.
Thank you so much, and a good afternoon from India. I know that many of you may be joining from other parts of the globe. So a good day, I think that would be best. Are you able to hear me crystal clear?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Oh, great. All right, thank you. So while we'll request everyone to stay muted, but I would love to have everybody on video. So those of you who can come on video, it would be a pleasure to see you while I'm talking to you. And in the next 60 minutes, 1 minute already gone, we'll try and unpack what is all about personal branding and the what, the why, the how of personal branding. Let me try and bring up my screen, which I did very successfully some time back. Yeah, this is the share screen. As you move between Zoom and Google Meet and MS Teams, you sometimes forget which button does what. Just let me know if you're able to see my slide which says a brand called you. Fantastic. All right. Okay, thank you. And let me start by saying that this is going to be a very interactive session. It's not a tell, right? It's going to be a lot of interactions. I will ask you questions and feel free to ask me questions. If you wish to debate on a point, I'm happy to do so. But given it's only 60 minutes, any specific questions, which we think can be handled towards the end, we'll park it for the end. I have just asked the Speakin team to intervene in case they feel there is a point raised which has to be addressed immediately, at the moment. Otherwise, we'll take questions towards the end. All right. So now I want to hear from you. What is it that comes to your mind when you see what's being shown on the screen here? And would love people to unmute and speak if possible. Otherwise, somebody will have to read out from the chat.
Leadership.
Calmness and authenticity.
Calmness and authenticity. Okay.
Leadership.
Leadership.
Leadership. Okay.
Brand.
What is the brand? Manish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is the brand?
Cricket and Pepsi.
Cricket and?
Pepsi.
Okay. So cricket and Pepsi comes to mind, but what else comes to mind when you see them?
Being
Personal
assertive.
brand.
Being assertive, okay.
They stand
Authentic
for personal
leadership.
brand.
Sorry, Avinash?
I said they stand for their personal brand.
They stand for their personal brand. So what is that one thing that you may remember about Indra Nui, or what may be that one thing that you're remembering about Dhoni?
When we look at them, we will be able to realize them. They are the part of this, and they are having identification basically.
Okay, all right. So you see the picture splashed anywhere, you know who they are. And I don't think anybody called out their name till now. I was the first one to call out their name, right? So we didn't even need to speak out their names. But we had many other attributes that came out. It could have been Pepsi, it could have been cricket, it could have been other characteristics. We said leadership and all of that. I'm seeing on chat, Indra Nui broke the glass ceiling. So there are a lot of other traits that are coming out. We didn't necessarily need to call them out by name. Okay, and most of us are so very attached to our name. When we introduce ourselves to somebody else, the first thing that we say is the name. But I don't know how many of us remember our name, right, after the introduction. And here also, we did not call them out by name. And while somebody said Pepsi, Well, here he's just a cricketer. Did not necessarily pick out, the teams that he played for or the cup that he played for. There are other attributes which are coming out, right? And what are these? These are all stories that we remember from their life. Is that right? Are for
Correct.
differentiating
Correct.
leadership. Is there a particular story that is coming to mind about either of them in your mind? The minute you saw them, was there a flashback of some story that is coming that you read somewhere, that you heard from them? Of course, you could have watched a movie. Any particular story that's coming to mind?
Yeah, I want to share about Ma'am Indra Nuri ma'am. She always mentioned that the biological clock of a woman and their career goes side by side.
Absolutely. So that's a point that she made, that it seems to have made home in Shruti's head, right? Now look at Indra Nooyi. She grew in her careers from wherever she kind of started. We all know her to be an Indian, a woman born in India, maybe in a middle class family. Same with Dhoni also, and risen to the rank that they did rise. They become global names. They're known for their leadership in their own spaces. But the stories that we are remembering are not necessarily about how they led their teams, right? That's not the first thing which is coming to mind. Nobody's talking about how Indra Nooyi grew in PepsiCo, right? Or how, Dhoni kind of won the World Cup. That's not what we are trying to even remember or speak about. There are many other stories of theirs which are coming to our mind, depending on what has created the maximum impact. Right or wrong?
True.
Yeah. Any story of
Yeah, yes, right.
any story of the cricketer that someone wants to tell us?
Yeah.
I can take a stab at it.
Yes.
Basically, for the man who was considered the fastest runner to be run out in his last ODI match in a World Cup semi-final, and despite winning everything under the that he could have won, to still carry the regret
Yeah.
of being run out.
That's what you are
That
remembering, right? And many maybe remember that. And there might be others who remember another facet of him. But there are stories. So what I'm trying to say is there's a connect between the individual here and a story which was there, which is regardless of the title, regardless of the accomplishments, regardless of where they reach. And that's what is a brand, and that's what we are going to all try and figure out today. So let me kind of articulate what is personal branding. All of us understand the term brand, and somebody actually said brand when I put out the pictures. We are all accustomed to brands. We are all accustomed to commodity brands. So if I were to ask you which is your favorite shoe brand or a bag brand or an apparel brand, you will quickly come up with some, right? Now here we are talking about a personal brand, which means that you and I as a person also have a brand. And what is that brand? We got a little bit of a flavor from the pictures and the discussions that we had just now. But a brand is nothing without a story. So there is a story behind each of us, which is what is dictating our brand out there. And you are your own brand. So keep aside the fact that you had a title or you have a title, you're working somewhere, you do a lot of contribution to some charities, etc., etc., etc. That's not what determines your brand. In Indra Nooyi's case, PepsiCo happened, but that's not what we remember her. I mean, that may just be a title, but her brand is beyond that. And it's the same with Dhoni and same with many, many other people. You are your own brand. And hence the question, what is your story? The story which helps your career growth. Largely, we are talking in terms of professional growth. It could be personal growth also. But the story that you own, that you speak, that you showcase, that is known to people, and it is recalled by people, which enables your growth. So if Speakin today has decided to host me on their platform for a topic called as personal brand, that must be because Neerja Ganesh has a brand which says she can conduct sessions on personal branding. And hence they chose Neerja for this topic and not somebody else. And if there was another topic, they may not have considered me, but would have gone with another facilitator who is well known for that. Doesn't matter whether Geevza has a title, what are the companies that she worked for. It is about the fact that she has a brand which talks about she is good as conducting workshops on personal branding. And of course, through my introduction, you also heard I also conduct workshops on networking. So that's another, brand that exists. People come to me, they reach out to me. So I don't even need to sell it. In many ways, when people, ask others, okay, can you tell me someone who can conduct a session on personal branding? My name just comes through, which is true. There is a WhatsApp group of about 1,024 people, and I'm thinking that, one of those organizations which reached out to me, and I'll be doing a session for them later. There was that person put it out on a group of 1,024 leaders and said, can you refer someone who can do a keynote on personal branding? And there were 3 or 4 people who within seconds, put out my name. Yeah. So that's what is personal brand. Okay. Now let me quickly, and it's easier said than done that all of us need to have a brand. Let me also say that all of us always have a brand. Don't think that, you're starting at really zero, ground zero, and you need to work it out. Wherever you are today, you have a brand. There is a particular recall value that all of us have. Now, whether you built it intentionally or not, we are not aware. And if you're not very intentional about it, you may not be sure as to what that brand is. You will have to actually do a survey with some people outside me, or family, friends, colleagues, to say, okay, what is it that you remember about me, right? But today, I also want to take certain case studies to say, people, Indra Nooyi, Dhoni, etc., okay, they arrived in life, and you're saying they are very far away from you. Let's talk about normal human beings like you and I, right? So I want to take a lot of case studies where we talk about regular people like us and how their journey has been in terms of establishing brand presence. So I talk about Sushma Chakirala here, who's now the executive director of JP Morgan Chase. And this is what she said. Now, a couple of years ago, she was interviewed, and there was, a book that was published on personal branding. This is what she said in that book. Branding wasn't a priority. My deliverables will speak for themselves. How many of us think that, right? I learned it the hard way that branding matters. Branding meant self-promotion. That's definitely there. While we can reach a stage later where I don't have to go around saying, oh, please call me for, networking programs, please call me for branding programs. I probably will reach there in some time. But when you started, you've got to talk about yourselves. And of course, like many people, she was not comfortable. But she said, she realized it the hard way, right? So she started small, and she was extremely intentional about it. It is very important for us to be intentional about building our brand. And if we are not, then what happens, I will tell you in the next story that I'm going to narrate. So you will hear a lot of stories from me because I am a storyteller. So being intentional is very important. So I built my authentic brand, which attracted sponsors. So sponsors are people in companies that she's working in. You may have heard of the term sponsors, which means there are people who speak about you and speak for you in meetings where you are not present, right? So because of her authentic brand that she went about building, it attracted sponsors, it expanded her networks, and it opened new doorways. So to her, branding is about building the right perceptions, which does not mean that, you kind of always show a side of you which is not true, because there is also a word there which says authentic. Yeah, I built my authentic brand, which means that whatever I want to be known for, I continue to build those perceptions in exactly the same way. So I want to kind of quickly also narrate a story here where recently, and some of you may be aware, there is this huge organization called as Anita Ball Institute, and there is an India chapter for it, which works in the space of diversity, equity, inclusion. And every year they run a huge conference called as Grace Hopper Celebration. So there is one that happens in India, which happened last week. Now, I was called a few days before the conference. I was called by their team and I was asked to be on a panel discussion around the topic of motherhood. Okay, now it's a great topic. I'm not going to deny it. Of course, we need to speak about this. But what stuck to me was they had asked me last year also to speak. And last year also they asked me to speak around some topic which was around motherhood. And I started thinking, why is it that they are always asking me to talk about motherhood? Is that all they know about me? Or is that all they, think I'm good at? Because people know me from a variety of other things. It made me reflect. And then I went and asked some people, this has happened. Why do you think this has happened? And there was this realization that, my daughter Sneha, all of 23-year-old now, Sneha and I show up at conferences together. I mean, there's a story behind that in terms of how she attended one conference and then she liked it. So she used to come forward and attend conferences where I would be speaking. Then, she started attending conferences which I would be attending. And then slowly she also got onto stages. So then it became like either I'm speaking, she's attending, she's speaking, I'm attending, both of us are attending, or both of us are speaking together. That has also happened in many stages where, both of us, deliver talks together. And this seems to be something very unique or different in a mother-daughter relationship. And since people are seeing this so much, I think for this panel discussion, they decided they wanted me to bring out that aspect to say, how does this work? This mother-daughter and working together and being together on stages, etc. Okay. Now, this was not a brand that I intentionally built. Okay. We just started attending conferences. She came to one conference, then she liked it, so she started coming to other conferences. Then she kind of found her own way to stages because she liked to be on stages. And then we said, let's do certain things together. Nothing was intentional about it becoming a brand of a mother-daughter duo. But look at that. It seems to have built some kind of a recall factor, because I realized that when I go to a conference, the first question I get asked is, how is your daughter? I'm standing over there, nobody asks me, how are you? They ask me, how is Sneha? And if she happens to go to a conference and I'm not around, she gets asked, how's your mother? Right? So that's why I say you have to be very intentional about it. I mean, I'm happy with this brand. Of course, the mother-daughter duo brand is great. But if we have not intentionally worked towards it, we don't know what people are starting to perceive about us. And then to kind of erase all of that, and we can do it. We can always erase all of that if that is not the brand that we wanted for us. But how about we start being very intentional about it from today itself? Yeah. Okay. So again, very quickly, what is personal branding? Personal branding is a widely recognized and largely uniform perception or an impression of an individual. Because we're talking personal, so it is one person. It's not a company, it's not a commodity. And where does it come from, that uniform perception or impression? It comes based on their experiences, their expertise, their competencies, whatever they do, and whatever their achievements are within a community, within an industry, or at the marketplace at large, right? So if you are a technologist, then the tech industry knows you as the AI leader, as an example, right? If you are doing a lot of work like me in the space of diversity, equity, inclusion, then all communities that work, including Anita Bog, that work in this space know you as the leader or as the person who champions diversity, okay? Or the marketplace, the whole industry knows that I am the banking expert, or somebody is, the expert when it comes to a particular, domain, whatever that be. So it is a uniform perception. It can't be that one person thinks of you as XYZ, and then when you go and speak to another person, they think of Nirja as something totally different. Then there is no brand. There is just that, okay, fine, I came across this individual, he or she was speaking about this topic that day, and that's all I remember about that person. That is not a brand. The minute a large number of people start talking about you in a way which is similar, right? That's the brand that has been created. Now let us talk about why personal branding. Anybody who wants to quickly tell me, why do you think personal branding is important?
Create identity.
Fantastic. So what is your identity?
Your
Whoever. What is your identity?
and for
If I were to ask you to introduce yourself, what is your identity today? Control your own narrative. Okay. How would you describe your identity? If you're not,
I'm not sure.
yeah. Thank you for muting. Yeah, go ahead. I
Yeah.
think Venkachalam.
Yeah, this is Venkat. Girich. So I would say identity is more about the way how you communicate, the way how you conduct yourself in the community, right?
Mhm.
That includes various stuffs, not only about your communication and personality, but your behavior, your outlook, the nature of your work. It's a culmination of so many things together that when you walk out, people will say, "What kind of person are you in totality?" Right? Like Dhoni is a good example.
Right. But if you had to introduce yourself, then how would you do that? What is that identity?
Oh, I would say initially start with my probably who I am in terms of my work, right? I would say I'm a business development head in a corporate, right? Then I'm a good player, I'm a good singer. I love spending time with family, right? It goes on based on my job profile and what kind of person, what I'm educated in. So 5 to 6 criteria of mine will define who I am.
Fantastic. Right. Now, supposing the job doesn't exist. Yes, Abhijit, anybody else can chime in. And I'm not able to read all the
Yeah.
chats. If Deepali or somebody
I would,
read the chat for me. Yeah, Meenakshi.
Meenakshi here. Yeah, so I would like to add for me, I will say what is personal branding is kind of something that I want people to perceive me as. I might do 10 things out of my role or in my role today, but I don't want to be known for all the 10, or it is not possible for an individual to be known for all the 10 things that I'm doing today. But one thing that resonates with me, and I would like that to be presented as my identity, is something is personal branding.
That's the what, right? Now we're talking about the why personal branding, and hence I'm talking about how do you identify yourself. Can someone from the Speakin team
Yes.
just read from the chats, please?
Yes, ma'am, I can do that. So Archana has mentioned that any quality to be identified easily by a large group. And
Okay.
then there's someone, I mean, Avinash has mentioned that identity, the values you consistently stand for.
Okay, all right. Leela,
Also,
yeah, go ahead, and then we'll ask Leela. She's put her hand up. Yeah.
okay, Abhijit has mentioned that get into the memory of buyers in being chosen from the set of the fittest sellers.
I think that was fantastic. I think I couldn't have done a better job description of personal branding. Thank you, Abhijit. Yes.
Anjana has mentioned identity is who are you on a day-to-day basis? How do you interact with others? And we have a comment from Rajni saying for professional growth.
Okay, thank you. And Leela, is there something you want to say? You raised your hand, no? Very quickly. If you're not able to unmute, you can put it on the chat. Leela, are you able to answer? Okay, maybe you can, if you are speaking, you're on mute and I'm not able to hear you. You can put it on the chat. So, whatever you all said in some ways is definitely correct. But the why, right? The why is it is helping you stand out from everybody else to be taken seriously. What do you want to be known for is a personal brand. That's right. But the why of the personal branding is because it helps you stand out from everybody else. We know how competitive the world is, the marketplace at large, whether you want to work in a corporate, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, or whatever you want to do. There are just too many people out there. So what is it that helps you stand out from everybody else? Why should Neerja be invited and not the 100,000 other people who do sessions on personal branding, right? It makes you memorable. And this is the most important part of it. Neeta Malhotra, she used to run a company along with her partner called as Ray and Keshavan. Some of you may know her. That Ray and Keshavan organization used to help brand corporates. Okay, so they were in the space of branding. And then at this point in time, I think it was 2017, she came out of this company, right? And this was something that she said when she was giving a talk on personal branding. If you take me out of my current business context, and most of us, when we introduce ourselves, if we are working or have any work-related items, we immediately, the first thing that comes is, I am Nirja Ganesh, and this is my designation in this company. That's the first thing. Or for others who may not necessarily be working, you say, okay, I am the mother of this person, or I am this person's wife or husband or something, right? We are always trying to attach after our name a particular role title. That is what our identity has become largely today. I'm a student studying in 10th grade in this school. And she asked that question, and it was a very relevant question to herself then, because she had exited from Ray and Keshavan, and that is what her identity was. So who am I? If I was to ask that question to myself, she'd say, my identity had merged with the company's identity. And answer to this question could have been nobody. Because the minute you do not have a designation and an organization that you're working in or working for or running yourself, you actually struggle to introduce yourself a bit. Unless and until, you kind of figure it out in your head. Maybe after this session, you'll think through this, right? The same happened to me. I quit from my 25 years of corporate. I don't know whether that came out in my introductions. I've been a technology professional for 25 years. My last job was with Capgemini. I used to head, largely, I worked in the GCC space. So I used to head the programs and the project delivery for GCCs. I quit in September 2017 without a job and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do next. So but I used to network a lot. I used to go to a lot of meetups. And you shake hands with the other person and then you give your name. And then I felt really at a loss of words. I used to say, I just moved out of Capgemini. I would say, I'm in between jobs. Or I would say, I'm thinking of what I want to do next in my life. Or I was taking a break for a short period of time. It almost became apologetic. I felt I was doing something wrong by not being in a job and not having a designation to go after my name. And I felt embarrassed about it. That's not who you are. You did a job, that title served you for X number of years. But who are you? You are beyond that title, right? And that's the need for personal branding. Yeah. So how does one create a brand? I think we got to understand what a brand is. We have understood the why, and it's a very, very important reason for us to create a brand. Now let's look at how to create it, because all of us, want to know that. That's what we are sitting here for, right? First of all, it needs extensive self-reflection and introspection. What is it that you want to be known for? And I told you, it is a story that enables your growth and largely your professional growth. So the minute you think about, I want to be known for XYZ, ask yourself the question, is this XYZ going to enable my professional growth? I can be known to be a great painter. I can be known to be a great singer. But if this enables my next few years of professional growth, great. That is your brand. However, if those are just other aspects of you, but the main aspect of you which will help you towards your professional growth is something else. It depends on what you've been doing today, what is your core competency, or what is that niche that you possess, or what is that you want to look at, in the next 5 to 10 years for yourselves. That has to be your prima facie branding, and it doesn't come overnight. For many of us, we struggle. I've been running these cohorts called the LinkedIn Writing Mindset Challenge, and we'll talk about LinkedIn also a little bit. But the first thing I tell them is, before you go to write on LinkedIn, because we all struggle to write on LinkedIn, is what is your brand? Why do you want to write on LinkedIn? and who are the people that you want to write for. That reflection itself for some people takes a lot of time, and it's okay to take time, right? It is okay to take time because we have not been brought up like that. We've been brought up to say, oh, I'm the best in the school, I'm the best in the organization, and what I do next, I'm somebody's child and somebody's mother. So the first task to create, and actually the personal brand always exists. I already told you, but when I'm saying to become intentional about it needs a lot of self-reflection, needs a lot of introspection. And of course, you should not, I mean, there is definite tasks that I will ask you to do to go ahead and showcase your brand. It is important. As I said, we need to talk about ourselves, but at the same time, you should not come across as a salesperson. That is also very important. And you have to be consistent with the personal branding, which means that if you've identified, like for example, when I came out of the corporate space, I decided, and if you look at my LinkedIn tagline, it says to bring about a positive mindset shift with every interaction that I have with women and with students. Of course, I'm so glad to have a lot of men also sitting through this session today. I'm not going to say no if a man wants to interact with me and talk to me, or take coaching, mentoring from me, or whatever else. But my large focus is on women, because through my career journey, I saw there were a lot of mindsets that held women back, and I thought I need to kind of work in this space. And that's my personal brand. I will do a session on networking, I will do a session on branding, I will do a session on LinkedIn, and I will do a session on assertive communication, and I'll do many, many other things. However, what is it that it is going to enable? It is going to enable a mindset shift with every kind of interaction that I have with people. Okay? And stay true to your brand. You can't be jumping, okay, fine, today is this, tomorrow something else. It is extremely important that you are consistent. I'll give you an example on that also. And it is important for us to brand offline as well as online. I'll give you a story on what I mean by being consistent. For those of you who know me, you will realize that I do a lot of interventions, which could be one-on-one mentoring, coaching, or group facilitations. I write on various media. I speak on a lot of stages. Everything is aligned to, and it's largely women, but it's aligned to career professional growth. That's what I kind of impact with whatever work that I do. Now, there was this organization that had started in the space of women's health, largely women's health, but they were kind of focusing on the menopausal health. And of course, they came to me, it was a few years ago, and they said they would like me to do some talks on their platform, aligned to this theme of theirs. Okay. Now, of course, health is an integral part of one's career growth. If you're not healthy, you can't necessarily also have a good career. That is true. However, imagine now, Nirja is always known to speak about careers and progression and mindsets and all of that. And suddenly now I start talking about menopausal health. I may have, like in this particular session, we have some 120 people, I think. I may get 120 people to sit and listen to that session also of mine. And they'll be women, so it's okay. Or maybe there'll be some men too. It does not resonate, right? Because always a brand has been careers and professional growth, and suddenly he's talking about something else. So I told them that I'm happy to, do a talk if you think it makes sense. But they were also wanting to bring me on that platform because they realized it will pull some crowd. Because I have a lot of followers, and those women will turn up for that session. But I said it's going to impact my brand and impact your brand also. Because now suddenly the women who are listening to me there will start thinking, okay, what is Nirja talking about? And if I then decide to do a third kind of a topic, which is not aligned to whatever I've done in the past in some other platform, then they'll be confused. And then you will not know what Nirja stands for, right? So it not only impacts my brand, people will not have a recall value from me. It also impacts their brand because they realize, oh, now what they're doing, they're bringing influencers of all kinds to sell their products and services. And hence, I don't really know whether what they're trying to sell is of value. So that is why branding is so, so important in terms of reflection. What is it that I want to stand for? What is it people need to remember for towards my own career growth? And I have to stay consistent with it. I can't be jumping up and down. All right. And it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't think that if I wrote 2 LinkedIn posts in 1 week, done, my brand is established. No. I have been on this journey since I quit in 2017. So let me see, 18 onwards. It's taken me that much of time. And supposing if I, sit down to relax, okay, I've arrived in life. And for another 3 weeks, I stop writing anything on LinkedIn. I stop talking anywhere. I stop doing things. People will forget me. That's how crowded the market is. Okay. So it's a continuous effort towards always making your brand presence felt offline, online, and it takes time. It's an investment like your financial instruments. You put in something, it takes some amount of time to grow into whatever you want it to grow. Branding also takes that kind of time. Yeah. All right. Now, quickly, now you're going to ask me, oh, but there are 5 things that I want to do in my life. In the next 10 years, I want to achieve, so many things in my life. So let's take an example, and this is an example from Karthik Srinivasan. He's a huge expert on personal branding. Go and look him up. So in one of the talks, he gave this example. He said, supposing there is a house with 100 windows. So the windows are across. 100 windows will not be on one side of the house, right? They will be on all the 4 sides of the house, if it's like a rectangle, square, or whatever you built. And all the windows are open. Now, can you imagine if there's one person living inside the house, what will people outside who are walking around the house know or think about this person? Anybody?
He has no private life.
He has no private life. That is definitely true. Transparent, and he's a very transparent individual. Yeah, he has nothing to hide. Come on, see me the way I am. That's also a great one.
He loves fresh
But
air and sunlight.
Yes, Ashma?
He loves fresh air and sunlight.
That's a brand that is kind of building. Saying, oh, come. Somebody mentioned something else. Now let me tweak this question a little. He's a smoker. How did that come by that he's a smoker? I'm loving this. Okay. Now this is a huge house. Okay. There are 4 sides to the house. All windows are open. Now you are someone who takes a walk every morning and you walk from the front of the house. You're always walking on that road which is to the front of this house. Okay. Vandana is that person. And somebody else, say Ashima, is the person who, takes the walk from the wall which is to the back of this house. And then there's a third person. I know that Shivani was there. She takes a walk on the east side, and then there is somebody else who's taking a walk on the other side. So what is it that each of you is seeing?
They will see different angles, because their view is different.
Absolutely.
So he's presenting different perspectives to the people who are watching him.
Yeah.
But if we only have a limited number of windows, obviously we're going to see the same side of him repeatedly. And so we will form a perception that Nirja maybe talks about X, Y, and not X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F also.
Right, absolutely. And Archana says all will peep in and try to judge him, which is definitely going to happen. The minute you're out there, visible and with the brand presence, everyone will try to judge you. For sure. And that is something that we need to acknowledge and be aware of. I remember Shah Rukh Khan recently said in some interview, I think somebody was asking him, are you, like stressed with the publicity that comes your way, get out of the airport? And I hope everyone knows Shah Rukh Khan because there's a global audience, there's a great film star that we have in our Indian Bollywood. So the minute you come out of an airport and there are all eyes on you and, do you shy away from this? And he said, no, I built this very, very intentionally. I want people to know me. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So he said about the other actors who kind of, try to put black glasses and walk around and, say, okay, no, to paparazzi and everything else. I mean, you are in this and you have asked for it. So when you ask for having a brand presence, then the point is that the whole world will watch you and there will be some judgment that will come your way and you should be open to take it. But the point is, why is it that you're out there? You are out there for a purpose. So he is out there to kind of, lure his audiences, entertain his audiences. So he has a why because of which he's there. And if certain audiences judge him, he's okay with it. So why am I here? I am here to bring out a mindset shift. And if I get judged because of something that I said, I'm okay to engage in a conversation with that person because I'm out there to create that mindset shift. So I know my why, and that's why I'm clear about it. So you said it right. So what happens is Vandana is, walking and she only sees the front, and somebody is walking and sees only the backside, and the four of them meet in the park. And then they start talking about this person who's living in this house, and say, I think this person is a huge, gym person, a fitness freak, because every morning Vandana is seeing this person from the window, walking on his treadmill. And I'm talking him, it could be a her. And the other person says, no, 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 no. He is, a great, nutrition and, food person, because forever this person, whenever she walked, always saw him in the kitchen, trying to cook up certain meals. And a third person brings another perspective, and a fourth person is bringing another perspective. All of which is correct. Because the individual living in the house has all facets. So I'm not asking you to shut down your facets. Whatever you like to do, whatever you wish to achieve in life, please go ahead and do that. But to the external world, what do? You open only few windows. You continue your life the way you want to, but for the external world, you open only a few windows. 3 to 5 windows out of the 100 windows that you have, and 3 to 5 is also a huge number. Okay, to be able to deal with 3 to 5 windows, which means that you have to continuously put out yourselves against all those 3 to 5 aspects. But if you think you can, go for it. I will say start small. Keep 2 things. One could be, like somebody said, I enjoy music, and that is something that I want to talk about, because I do want to kind of share what I know about my music. But I also have a professional life, which is, I'm XYZ in terms of a domain, industry, subject matter expert. So those are the 2 windows that you open up. And that is why the how to establish your brand presence, the first thing is ensure that you do deep reflections to find out what it is. Now, I'm going to move ahead, given that I'm looking at the time. We have to also take questions towards the end. You building the personal brand, which is building your visibility, has to be done both within your organization and outside the organization. Not necessarily that only if I want to change jobs, or only when I'm an entrepreneur, I have to something to sell, I need to look at branding outside the organization. No. For all of us, both within the organization and outside the organization, building your brand is absolutely important. Within your organization or wherever you go, as a networking meetup and all of that, there is no right time and right place. You do it always. Whether you're meeting someone for coffee within the organization, you are in the pantry and you're picking up a cup of coffee, and you're sharing a talk with someone else who you may know or may not know, that's a branding opportunity for you. Networking meetup, team meetings, town halls, floor walks, dining hall. I mean, wherever, whenever, always you to find opportunities to build your brand presence. Okay. Now I want to do a very quick story about what happened in my life when I was working in this company called as ANZ. Okay, I used to run ANZ is a bank, Australian New Zealand bank. Of course, they have presence in Asia and Pacific also. And I used to head the technology at one point in time for the Asia Pacific region. We had about 13 countries which came under me. I think there were about 11 Pacific countries and 2 Indian countries, Asian countries. So I was the head of Asia Pacific Retail Technology. And we had a new managing director who joined our company. So as part of the introductions, now of course, while you will have one huge town hall where this person is going to address everyone, there were also opportunities to meet him and for him to meet the people in smaller groups. So I was one of the women leaders identified as having very high leadership potential. So there were a few of us, some 10 or 15 of us, who had been identified as high potential women leaders in the organization. And hence there was a lot of interventions done with us, some training and some coaching, and a lot of opportunities that were given to us. So Fred, that was his name, he's recently passed away, may his soul rest in peace. He met with these 15 women leaders. And we all introduced ourselves. Typical Neerja Ganesh, head of Asia Pacific Retail Technology, and so on. Everybody introduced. We must have asked some questions. We had good samosa and chai, and then we went back to our work. A few days later, I saw an email from Fred. It said, if anyone can do this, it is Neerja. So I got curious as to what it was. And there was a long email trail under that. You know how emails just keep getting forwarded, right? So I read it up and I went to the first one where it originated. It was one person who was working in ANZ PNG, Papua New Guinea. So you can see Papua New Guinea somewhere in this map. Yeah, here it is. This person, so ANZ was running something called as a breakout festival. It's like a ANZ's got talent kind of a thing, like India's got talent kind of a breakout festival it was. So whoever wanted to participate had to put in an entry into a platform of a portal. It's giving details of what you want to participate, what is your talent, and some evidence of that talent. So if you are wanted to sing, then you put in a music video. If you wanted to dance, then you put in a video of your dance. Now, this person was trying to put in his application and it was not accepting it. So what did he do? He obviously wrote to the managing director of Papua New Guinea, ANZ Papua New Guinea, that there is a problem. And that lady wrote an email to Fred because it's a technology problem, right? And technology largely was, kind of run from Bangalore, that there is an issue here. And to which Fred responded to her, saying that if anyone can fix this, it is Neerja. And I was looking at it and saying, what is this? First of all, I may not even have known that there is a ANZ Got Talent kind of a show happening because I had no talent. So I was not interested in participating. Two, what is this about application? This is not under my, I am running retail technologies. This has got nothing to do with me. But however, when the managing director says something, you better listen. And the other part was that there was a deadline. I think we had to finish up all the applications by the next day. And PNG anyways, I think was a few hours ahead behind us, I'm not remembering. So there was very little time left. So I decided to do what I had to do. I figured out who owns this platform. I went and spoke to that leader and I just put Fred's name and said, this has to be done today. I stayed back the whole night and got this fixed. The next day, I get an email, which is actually originating from the same person saying, thank you, I was able to submit my entry. Then the CEO of PNG is thanking Fred, and Fred is responding to me saying, thank you. Now, for all the tenure that he stayed with us, I never had the guts to go and ask him, why did you say if anyone can fix this, it is me? But I was reflecting to say as to why he may have done that. Two things came out. One is that when I introduced myself to him in that meeting, I said I was head of, though I said retail technologies, Asia Pacific came in that introduction. So you would have said, this is Papua New Guinea, this is Pacific, give it to Neerja, right? Without realizing that these are two different kinds of things. But the second one is that when somebody as senior as him is asked to meet this group of 15 women leaders, obviously, he's going to ask what is so special about each individual, right? Why is it that these 15 women have been identified as future potential for the bank? Why not the other 15 who are sitting on the other side? So I'm sure the person who coordinated this whole effort would have said something about each of the attendees of that meeting, saying that XYZ is good at this. That's why she is, in this program. Neerja is good at this. So I was reflecting, what is it that Neerja was known for? Beyond Asia Pacific and a bank and all of that. There was a statement that used to be associated with me. It was, Neerja gets things done. That was my USP. Give her anything, she'll get it done. I'm sure somebody would have told him that. And that's why when this problem came, he may have put together the fact that she runs Asia Pacific something, but the fact that she gets this done. He said, if anyone can do it, it is Neerja, and the email was sent to me. Now, was this a good thing or a bad thing? Did I get anything out of it? I spent a whole night trying to get this issue resolved, by the way. I have not done that even for issues that may have come from my own team. I would have just told some of my team members to look at it and just give me an update. I wouldn't have stayed a night to fix any issues. Was it a good thing or a bad thing?
Very good thing. You established credibility.
I established credibility. And what happens after this?
For everything else,
and then you gain trust.
People think of you actually. You
and you gain
reinforce
trust.
that trust. Yeah.
You gain trust from people.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of proved it that if people say she gets things done, I just got something done. So tomorrow, because Angel in Bangalore was ever expanding, if someone wanted to put a new team, a new project, a new initiative here and came to Fred because he headed that particular organization to say, we have to hire a new leader because I want to establish this 20-member team or 100-member team. Do you have someone in the organization or should I go outside? She would have said, why don't you talk to Neerja? She gets things done. And that's how opportunities come to you. So it is very important for us to create opportunities to showcase our brand. So start participating in any events that happen in your organization, any activities, anywhere where you may get introduced. You could be volunteering, could be an MC somewhere, you could be submitting some paper. There's an opportunity for you to be introduced and your brand presence can build at least in that group. Ensure you attend as many events as possible. Present at networking events. Maybe start organizing your own networking events. Start volunteering for things, right? Now, coming to a digital presence, I don't know how many of you do this. I do this very often. Google your own name. I don't want you to do it now. Do it after the session is over. What comes up when you Google your name? Because it is important to also establish brand. And a large part of our branding is digital today. When I Googled my name yesterday, this is what came up. It said I'm a leadership trainer, I'm a TEDx speaker, something around leadership, then positive mindset, leadership coach, corporate mentoring, branding, and something. And if I were to think about this, all of this is me. Nothing very new or strange is coming up in this. Okay. So when you are Googling, you will have to look at what comes up. What key things are missing in that? I don't know. Maybe if I look at it and think about a little, maybe there are one or two aspects of me which are not coming up at the top. Okay. So there might be some key things which are missing. And even recruiters, even though they get your resume or they may look at your LinkedIn, actually will Google your name to find out what comes up. So it is very important to see if there are certain things which you want to come up are missing. And there might be certain things which you just don't want it to be coming up. You may need to take it down. Because, digitally, we don't even think, we just do a lot of stuff. I mean, you went to the beach holiday 5 years ago and all those pictures are sitting over there and that is coming up when you Google your name, right? So do this, and it is very important to keep it in check. Check your privacy settings on all your social media, right? So you can keep LinkedIn as a professional media. You can keep Instagram as a personal medium, which means that people on LinkedIn who are professionals don't come on your Insta and vice versa. For me, everything is professional. There's nothing personal that I put out on any social media. So I'm okay to open up, my any of the social handles to anybody. However, if you want to keep these two things aside and you want to put out a lot of personal stuff which you don't want others to know about, be very sure where you put what. And then ensure your privacy settings are done in such a way that you are protected. Okay, professionally, everyone needs to know about you. You can't close all the windows and sit inside the house. Nobody will know you, and there's no brand presence. So certain windows have to be open. Okay. What if there are many with a similar name? Yes, that means Neerja Ganesh also will have many Neerja Ganeshas. The minute you have reached that branding, that your name comes up first. Yeah. So you could have many with the same name, but when you are putting out more and more of your content out there, your name supersedes the others. And beyond setting the privacy setting, just don't only rely on that. Every few weeks, do your Googling search and look up what is coming up to see if there is something which you need to pull out. Be very, very conscious of what you're putting out there. The other thing that you need to be very clear about is what is your voice. It's important to write content, and all of us can write content, one-liner or one page. We can write content. But the voice, the tonality, the way you are writing the content, exactly the way you speak with someone else, is also giving you a certain brand presence. Do you want to be known as controversial? Are you always writing your posts, in a controversial manner? Are you always writing your posts as, with high opinions that you want to state? This is rubbish, or this is ridiculous, or, this is great. So the voice matters. exactly like when you have conversations with people, you are not, even if you wanted to say something, you know exactly how you're going to polish it or how you're going to present it so that, you know, it comes across in a particular manner. Your writing, especially on LinkedIn, also has to be like that. Your goal, now, if you want to be known as opinionated, please go ahead and write it in that manner. So what is your goal? The first one I said, what is your why? The why to be on whatever medium, right? Determines what kind of content you put out and how do you write that content. Yeah. And consistency is something that I've always said. You can't do something today and then gone for 2 months. If you're gone for 2 weeks also, you'll be forgotten. So I actually recommend at least one post per week if you are writing on LinkedIn, and you have to write on LinkedIn for a professional, right? So anything online contributes to your personal brand. And what do you write about? What do you post on social media? How do you interact with your audience? Because they will be messaging you, they may be writing comments, engaging with your posts. Or, sorry, all of this needs to have an overall messaging strategy. It's not random and not thought out. I want to give an example of, and I don't know if Sue is here, she's one of my community members. This is her brand presence. If you go and Google her or look her up on LinkedIn, this is what is coming up, right? So there is, of course, the LinkedIn headline which says she's a leader in AI data analytics space. But the other things that she has done, which kind of gives her credibility in that space. So she has won the Women Tech Network Award. She has probably written an article, I think, on the analytics shift. She has given an interview, on this platform called as Leadership Nuggets, which Chitrita Nath is running. She has been featured on a magazine. So every opportunity where you can showcase yourself. You could be a mentor, you could be running a workshop, you could be attending an event, you could be writing a white paper. You have to find these opportunities because all of this kind of enhance your brand presence. In closing, I just want to kind of talk about what Anand Mahindra has said, and most of us know Anand Mahindra, the chairperson of Mahindra and Mahindra Group. And he's so active on Twitter. He's not there on any other social media. His choice has been Twitter. You can choose whatever you want to. And he says why he spends time on Twitter. For a person like him, a chairperson of this organization, he says that what he gains from what his followers say on Twitter is much more than what he will otherwise learn from his board meetings and by his one-on-ones and his level meetings, right? He gets insights from customers, he gets insights from his teams, he gets insights about competitors and all that, right? And if a person like him is able to carve out some time and a lot of time on social media, I think all of us can do a little bit, right? Very, very important for us to promote ourselves actively. Not if you're going to write something and keep it hidden somewhere, it doesn't help. Exactly like this picture that is showing. I have been, practicing guitar for the last 30 years in the basement. Somebody will get to know about me. Nobody will get to know about you. You have to talk about yourself, and digital, media definitely helps. Before I close, I would like to say, if you're not a brand, you are a commodity, and it's perfectly fine to be a commodity. If I'm walking by the side and there is a slipper shop, there's someone who's selling slippers, I happen to go past that person, I see a good pair of slippers, I may still buy it. It's a commodity. But that is if I happen to. If somebody happens to talk to Nirja and gets to know that I do a session on personal branding, I may get an opportunity to come on Speakin. But however, if I'm a brand, then I'm going to seek out that slipper in that particular shop. I will take, a cab from here, go 20 kilometers away because I want to. And of course, today you can, online also buy. But I'm just saying people are going to seek you out online or offline. So you need to decide for yourselves. Do you want to stay a commodity and maybe get chosen, maybe get found, or you want to establish yourself as a brand and always be sought out? And the last bit is that dig the well before you're thirsty. You can't start this activity on the day you lose your job or on the day you want customers and things like that. The brand has to be forever existing. So start today, start small, start with those deep reflections and start writing small posts, start showing up somewhere every day over a period of time. You will be known for the brand that you want to be known for. Thank you and happy to take questions. I think Leela has been wanting to ask something for a very long time. Would love to give her the opportunity. I know we are at 4, but I'm happy to stay back. If there are questions, we can stay for another 5 minutes and do this. Are questions coming on chat or people are unmuting?
I am watching the chat, ma'am. If there are any questions, I'll read it out aloud.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Any questions, any concerns? There were some things I know as I was speaking, there were many things that were coming up, but I wasn't able to kind of answer or look at it.
There is one question by Mahesh mentioning that could you suggest ways to validate the perceived brand from others and self?
You can just go and ask people. It's an exercise that you do. You just go and ask them, not the same kinds of people. So you can, take some school friends that you're still in touch with, some college friends, a few from your previous organization, from your current organization, and some from family. So, kind of, you can give them a questionnaire or just ask them 2 lines about what do you think I am? What would you call me out for? What would you refer or recommend me for? Something which kind of gets you, 1 or 2 things about your brand. And then see if all of them say the same things. And be mindful, it is not characteristics. You're a good person is not a brand, right? Good, bad person is not a brand. So ask the question in that manner so that they are able to identify the expertise of yours, which they will always come to you for. Thank you.
I think people have raised their hand. I can see some
Yeah,
hands.
please
So
you can unmute and ask. Yeah, please do that.
Can I go?
Yeah, please go.
Hi, Nirja. It has been great listening to you and these perspectives. Thank you so much for this session. I'm Ucha Ramani. I'm an entrepreneur, an edtech entrepreneur, and then also a community leader. So I lead some developer communities for students and young professionals in Visakhapatnam. So I write quite often about the product that we are building and also about the community that I'm leading. So this has been interchangeably, I have been doing both. And these are 2 entirely different circles actually. Of course, a little bit of intersection, but I have seen when I'm in my community, the work and all, I've started it by myself. So in a way, it was like giving opportunity to others and all of that. So I have always prioritized giving, that shining spotlight on others. So it's not about organizing an event and speaking there myself. It's about enabling others. And the other aspect about my company and all, it has been my own learning journey. Not that we are like from a tier 4 city and struggling and all of that. So not much to talk about it, but a lot of learnings in the personal front. So not much of that facet is being shown or has been out yet. Nowadays, it's coming up. So what do you suggest actually? When I meet these people, they're like, oh, you have that angle as well, is something they talk about. And I am a little confused. So can you share some suggestions for me?
What is your why? What is your big why? What do you want people to know you for, and what is it that you want to impact?
I want both of these to go hand in hand, which means like right now I'm in this product development phase where I said I am an edtech entrepreneur. So we are doing some innovative work back in our company, experimenting. So I want to, and I'm the face of the company as a founder. So I'm trying to, put out our perspectives, our work and all of that. That is one aspect. Secondly, I have been building this community for 7+ years actually.
Sorry to interrupt.
Both aspects.
Both are important, right? About both. And there's no confusion. I said your 5 windows can be open. I just said it can be 3, it can be 10. If you are able to manage all that well and it doesn't create a confusion, both are okay. So then you decide on your LinkedIn writing, I'm assuming it's LinkedIn that you're talking about. What is your calendar? I'm going to write 2 weeks about this and 2 weeks about this. Or if you're going to write 2 posts in a week, then Monday and Wednesday is going to be about my product, and Tuesday and Thursday is going to be about community. You build a calendar for yourselves. It can't be that 1 month and another month. As I said, at least 1 post a week is important if you want your brand recall to come. If you can do more than 1, it's fantastic. So decide if it is 1 post per week, then you can say first and third weeks could be this. If you think product is higher than community, maybe community can get 1 post in a month and the products can get 3 posts in a month. So decide that for you, but write about both is perfectly fine, not an issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hey Nija, Monica here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monica,
thanks for the
then we
session.
can go to Imran, I think, because he raised his hand. Yeah. Yes, Monica.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you so much for the session. This is really, very insightful. And it kind of brings about a confusion that has been there in my mind for quite a long time. So, I mean, it's more of like a little follow-up to what Usha had just asked. But basically, in terms of the identities, right? When you said that you have multiple windows and they can be open, right? So if you have personalities which are traits which are a little conflicting. So in terms of, for example, I'm also an artist, okay, and I'm also, a leader in the industry. And I have both of these facets, for example. So you will see the artistic side of me, which will be vulnerable and emotional and, a little empathetic and sensitive. And I do write stuff which is, on Instagram and stuff like those. And then there is a side of me which is probably a startup entrepreneur and a leader in the industry, and the other side, right? So how when you said that you type your name and see how it shows on Google, right? So for me, when I was in workplaces also, it was a little conflict in terms of like you were trying to fit in and you're trying to play a role, but you are not very authentic to yourself the way you are, right? Because there is always the other side of you as well. So I'm just trying to when you think about LinkedIn and the brand, when you're looking at sales and all of that and the service that you're selling, it makes sense. But overall, as a personality, when you all of us have so many facets, right? How does that all of that fit in into the personal brand?
Yeah. So how difficult is it for you to kind of hide your vulnerable, emotional side of the person that you are? Because I think when you are an artistic person, you can't bring that automatically. You are that, and that's why you are able to bring out your art in that particular manner, right? So we all think that when we are in corporate workspaces or in front of a customer, there is a particular way I have to behave. I'm not saying that you have to be unprofessional, but there is no playbook which says that a leader cannot be vulnerable, a leader cannot be emotional, a leader cannot be empathetic. In fact, I think today people say that these are the best leaders who are very transparent and open, and they kind of take the team along and listen to them and are able to open up their own hearts to the team to say, okay, this is my challenge, etc. So the authenticity is you as a person authentic. So you have to start thinking about who am I as an authentic person and bring that into your work also and into your art also. Only then you're going to thrive in both the places. Is that kind of answering your question?
Yeah, that does help. And I'll ask one tactical thing, just as a follow-up, just to close on that.
We'll give the chance to somebody else because you're already, but you can
Okay,
always
sure.
Find me on Speakin, find me on LinkedIn or any other platform, and we can continue the conversation. But thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
Somebody else, I think I told Imran had raised his hand. We can take that. Imran, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, ma'am, first of all, thank you very much. I would like to say thanks to all of my participants. And I just would like to introduce myself. I am Muhammad Imran Ghani, a senior management consultant with over 2 decades of experience in global supply chain strategy, operational excellence, and ESG-driven transformation, recognized as a LinkedIn top global 1% thought leader. I focus on enabling organizations to build resilient, future-ready operating model, thought, data-driven decision-making, and strategic insight.
You're on mute, Imran, but can you come to the question, please? Imran, you've muted yourself. I don't know if he's able to hear me, but is there someone else who can ask the question while he realizes he's on mute?
Yeah, I would like to
Yes,
ask something.
Shruti.
Is it okay?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Shruti. So I need to know,
Sorry,
like,
ma'am.
in
Sorry,
terms.
I was
Imran, just a
muting.
minute.
I think
Yeah,
my speaker
just a
was
minute.
mute. Sorry.
No, just a minute, Imran. Shruti just started asking because you were on mute. You can maybe type your question on the chat box so that Kashish can read it out. Yes, Shruti, go ahead.
Yeah. So
Ma'am,
I
I
will
do
just
not have any
like.
question. Honestly, I do not have any question. I
Okay.
just would like to say thank you, all of your active participation and valuable perspective.
Thank
It
you
is
so much.
privileges to engage with such a committed and forward-thinking audience. As a thought leader, I firmly believe that sheer insight and continuous learning are the true driver of the meaningful progress. I appreciate the Speakin team for enabling this impactful dialogue. I just would like to only introduce within half minute my introduction. I am Muhammad Imran Ghani.
Sorry, Imran, I'm sorry. I think you're already, beyond the time. Yeah, Shruti Purna, please go ahead.
Yes, I would just like to know that as we know that in terms of digital presence, we have different audiences, right? So how would you like to suggest, suppose I'm a mentor and a coach, like which platform suits us in terms of only LinkedIn or IG or maybe Twitter or X handling? Which one is better?
You need to kind of figure out where your audience largely is. As I said, I'm on all platforms. I'm on Facebook also, I'm on Insta also. My primary focus is LinkedIn because that's where I get a lot of my, if I may say, clients as well, the impact that I want to create. But I have had people who have seen me on Insta, and this person probably is on LinkedIn, but more on Insta, and saw one of my Insta posts and has reached out to me. So I have decided that primary is LinkedIn, but I will copy paste my content of LinkedIn and put it on Insta also, even though it's not Insta friendly. And I'll do one liner on Twitter also. That's my strategy. So you need to assess where your audience is largely, and accordingly you build your strategy.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And Mahindra is only on